Welcome to Hello Health, a show where we have conversations about healthy living. I am your host, Karen Kwan Moss, and I am a certified functional medicine health coach. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you're having some joyous holiday festivities happening around you, whatever you celebrate. It's always my favorite time of the year. It's besides summer. But I love this time of year because there's so much hope and so much light, and people are in general nicer to each other, which is, peaceful. I love the music. I love the lights, and I hope you are all enjoying the season. Just a couple more weeks to go until we're heading to the end of the year here, to the new year. So this week we have a great show lined up. I have a friend of mine, Holly Ohlsson, joining us today. And she is a fitness coach, and she's a yoga instructor, and she's also a certified functional medicine health coach. And she just has a great perspective on being gracious with yourself and creating a movement practice that suits you. So today she's going to give us some tips on motivating ourselves to get up and get moving. And I think that's a really appropriate topic to have this time of year as we start to think about our health goals for the year ahead. A lot of people have exercise on the top of their list, whether it be for weight loss or for, just keeping their bodies healthier. So she has some great tips for us. Before we get into that, let's continue our talk about character strengths. If you've been tuning into our last few shows, I've been talking about the VIA character strengths, and you can go on this website to take the VIA survey. It's a free survey. It takes about 10-15 minutes. We use it in health coaching a lot because it helps us to understand ourselves better, how we operate, how we communicate. Also helps us to strengthen our relationships with friends and family and coworkers. There's so many benefits to knowing what your strengths are, what are at the top, and what the strengths are at the bottom. So maybe you can start working on ways to get them all equal at certain points. So anyway, in our coaching, we use this book called Character Strengths Matter. It's an excellent book, and I've been using it to just point out a couple tips on strengthening certain strengths. I always fumble over that one. Strengthening your strengths. So today we're going to talk about gratitude. What an appropriate topic this time of year where we're so grateful for our families and for the food that we have and the gifts that we can give. Gratitude they're all important, but this is a really good one to express every day. It's great there's been a lot of studies done showing how this affects your mental health and your physical health, being able to show gratitude, looking at the world through that type of lens, to just focus on the things that you have and that you're grateful for rather than what you don't have and feel like you need or want. So here are a couple tips from this book to strengthen gratitude. Express thanks to all who contributed to your success, no matter how small their contribution might have been. Be aware of the degree to which your success is a product of others' helpful influence in addition to your own hard work. And I can say I have done this, and it has felt so good because it was maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I started to think of how far I've come, what I've accomplished in my life, and how I wouldn't have made it here without the help of people, mentors and teachers that have just popped into my life right when I needed them to be there, and the support systems that I've had that just popped up whenever I really just needed them. So it is a wonderful and powerful practice. You can write letters, you can call them on the phone, you can send them a text message. Just letting someone know how grateful you are to have them in your life and what they've done for you is just very powerful. I definitely recommend doing that and see how you feel afterwards. Another thing to do is before eating, think of all the people who have contributed to what you are eating. Do this at least once a week. And I think this is great. And this is a show that I've actually wanted to do, or probably will do it in the next few weeks, about this Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. He wrote a book called Savor. And he worked with a nutritionist on it about, nourishing your body, not only with the food that you're eating, but with the thoughts that you're having while you eat your food. And one of the things is to focus on, like, this apple that I'm eating, how did it come to be in my hand? And think of all of the people who have contributed to getting this apple in your hand, and all of the elements that have come into being to create this apple, the sun, the earth, the trees, the people who have picked the apples, who've carefully taken care of them to make sure they're organically grown, to cleaning them, to transporting them, all of the different ways of, or just even simply thankful that your husband or your wife made you dinner, or the wait staff, the chefs at the restaurant you're at took the time to make this beautiful dinner for you. It's interesting. It shifts your perspective. So I definitely recommend giving that a try. The next one is hope. And hope is actually one of my top 5 strengths. I am the eternal optimist. Hope is a great thing to have. It helps you to get through the darkness when you can see the light. So here are a couple tips from the book. Visualize where and what you want to be after 1, 5, and 10 years. Sketch a pathway that you can follow to get there. Include manageable steps and ways to chart your progress. I'm going to be offering a workshop on this early in 2022 because I think this is really powerful. It's something that I've done for many years with goal setting. What do I want to accomplish? Where do I want to be? And then you just kind of brainstorm all the ways that you can get there. Keep it in a notebook and then refer back to it. Check off the things that you've done. It's amazing when you can step back and look at how far you've come. And it's easier to do that if you're, mapping it out, if you're either drawing it out, if you're writing it down in a journal, however it feels right for you to do that. It's just an amazing thing to do. So, yeah, that's a great one. And then also surround yourself with optimistic and future-minded friends, particularly when you face a setback. Accept their encouragement and help, and let them know you will do the same for them when they face obstacles. Now, we can say that there's a lot of issues and problems with Facebook, and I totally agree. But there are some good things about Facebook. And one of the good things I found are the Facebook groups that you can find, certain groups that you can find of people who are going through the same things that you are, and their support system. And they may be strangers, they may be far away, but just knowing that other people are going through what you're going through and offering your story and hearing their stories, that can also ignite some hope in you as well, that you're not alone. So just a few tips from this great book, Character Strengths Matter. All right, let's bring on my good friend Holly for some motivation for movements. I am so excited to introduce our guest this week, Holly Ohlsson. She is a certified functional medicine health coach, a group fitness instructor, a certified personal trainer, and a registered yoga instructor. And she's a very dear friend of mine. She is in the Houston area in Texas, and she has a lot to share with us today about motivating yourself to start a movement practice. So let's bring on Holly. Hey, Holly, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we were chatting before the show. Holly, you've helped me so much. We were in school together. Helped me so much to feel motivated to do movement. That's something that I've struggled with. I went to the gym quite a bit, before I had my last kid. But being a mom of 2 and having a young one, it's hard to motivate yourself and be like, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. But Holly's an excellent coach, and she definitely helped me to motivate myself to find things that I like to do. So
thank
Holly,
you. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that,
totally.
Karen.
I'd love to hear about just briefly how you got into fitness and the functional medicine health coaching? What brought you to this place?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I'll try to make it brief because it's kind of a complicated story, but I was working in a completely different industry. I'm actually an engineer, and for a number of reasons, I decided to pursue a different path. I was dealing with a tremendous amount of stress and burnout, and while I was always motivated to be healthy and felt the importance of health, and I tried to strive to live a healthy lifestyle, I really wasn't able to, I wasn't living, the healthy life that I wanted to be. And I wanted a bigger motivation as well, and to feel more purpose in my work. And I always was interested in fitness. I was an athlete growing up. I played volleyball and tennis, and movement and sports, were always a part of my life. I always felt better when I was active, and I enjoyed it. So for me, it was like, well, I know we have really a number of different chronic disease pandemics going on in this country and across the globe. And I wanted to be a part of that, to help people find a way to make movement part of their life and feel like, I was helping them reduce their chances of chronic disease or maybe manage a chronic disease. So that was really where I got started. And I started in the fitness side. I got my personal trainer certification, and I started teaching some classes. And then from there, it just sort of evolved. And I started looking at what people really need. And while I still see huge benefit in, working with a personal trainer, I work as one, I teach classes, I'm a registered yoga teacher. I just really saw that people needed so much more support, accountability, and that health is not just one thing. It's not just movement. It's not just nutrition. It's really a holistic, element. And I found functional medicine, and I loved the approach of the systems approach of looking at health and disease as not just, finding the one thing we have to cure, but really like peeling back the layers and finding all of the different roots, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, really looking at all of it. So that's how I found functional medicine and health coaching. And it's been really nice to kind of marry it all together.
Yeah, it all fits in so well. That's great. So let's talk about some tips that you have for our viewers about getting motivated.
Yes.
Like get off the chair and get moving.
Yeah, and it's that time of year where we're headed into the holidays, and this tends to be when people might slip off a little bit with their routine, and that's okay. There's seasons for everything, and every week and every day doesn't look the same. But if you're starting to thinking about starting a movement plan or increasing your movement plan, the very first thing that I work with people on is just to acknowledge where they are, specifically, because I think, all too often we feel like we have to do it all at once. And that's not necessarily, that's not necessarily realistic to start off and, okay, I haven't worked out in 5 years, but, I'm going to go out and run a half marathon in 2 months. Like, that's probably not a realistic goal. So just to practice some gentle, kindness with ourselves and give ourselves a little bit of grace that, we are unique people. We're all starting at a different place. And so I just think that's really important, just to acknowledge where you are specifically and to try not to get stuck in a comparison trap. because that is also very common, that we look at somebody at the gym, or, a fitness a celebrity fitness trainer, and we think that is where we want to get, and that's where we want to get in again in like 3 months time. And it's not necessarily realistic. We're all unique individuals. We all have unique work situations, life situations, family demands, goals. And so just again, to come back to you and you as an individual, and why, what's specific about your situation. So trying to just focus in on you as a unique being, I think is really important.
Yeah, I think that's hard too, because a lot of, media, magazines and things, they say like, well, this is Jennifer Aniston's routine, and this is what Kim Kardashian does, and women, and men do as well. Like, we kind of fall into that comparison trap where we're looking at, oh, I want to look like Jennifer Aniston at 55 or however old she is, but I mean, let's face it, Jennifer Aniston's living a very different life than we are.
A very different life. She has a plethora of different resources available to her. And also, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, Speaking of the male example, that was one of the reasons why Daniel Craig isn't doing James Bond anymore, because he literally said to do like a shower scene where he has his shirt off, he would basically like starve himself and not drink any water going up to that, because that's how you get that crazy defined look, is literally drawing all of the water out of your muscles. And that's what bodybuilders do. And it's ridiculous. That's not real life, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy to not drink water. So but that's what those photos are. They're in an unnatural state, plus being photoshopped, plus all the other things. So for sure we get the crazy media images, and sometimes the amount of exposure we have to all of that it's hard to keep this in mind. But
yes, definitely.
So the next tip that I have is kind of ties into all this, and that's really just to start small. And again, that's going to be different for everybody. If you're already, out walking and you're pretty active, and, your next goal is, again, to train for a half marathon, I'll use that example. Well, maybe you start with, okay, I'm going to run a mile, and then my next goal is going to be to build up to a 5K, and you build on that. And if you're somebody who hasn't exercised for 10 years and you're, just getting started, again, maybe it's even smaller than that. Maybe it's, okay, I'm going to go for a walk 2 days a week for 20 minutes. We're much more likely to continue if we start small. We set something that is achievable. We're able to reach that goal and feel good about reaching that goal. Then you can build on that. So trying to take on too much all at once can often be a recipe for getting off track and not necessarily being able to meet that goal.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you see that with clients trying to want to take on too much?
Yeah, it's like it comes up in conversation. It's like, well, I used to do XYZ, and for 10 years I haven't done anything, and I really want to get back to the XYZ. But it's funny how, as the conversation evolves, they come to realize, I can't really do XYZ anymore.
Yeah.
Let's just start with X, and they come to that realization on their own. I think, talking it through with someone is helpful, because it really helps you to assess like where you are instead of in your mind, actually saying it out loud. I'm going to run 20 miles and I haven't run in 20 miles in 10 years.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean you'll never be able to do X, Y,
Right.
or Z again. I mean, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Our bodies are different in our 40s than in our 20s. And, you know, when I was 18, I could probably just go out and run 8 miles, having only ever run 3 before, and probably would have been able to do it and been fine. Like, if I did that now, I'd tear something or, you know, not be able to walk for a week. So, but yeah, maybe they can get back to X, Y, Z, but they might have to start back at L, you know, and work their way up to it. So
yeah, totally.
So speaking of that, speaking of drawing on past experiences, another big one is to find something that you enjoy doing. I think looking back in the past and looking at, well, what did you, when you were active, what did you enjoy? That's a great place to start. And I think a lot of times it depends on someone's goal and what they're coming with. If their goal is weight loss or their goal is body composition changes, they want to lose fat and gain muscle, for example, yes, there might be specific type of exercises that might help them get there faster. But at the same time, there's not one way to move your body. There's tons of ways to move your body. So finding something that you actually enjoy doing, and, you know, if you're waking up every morning and you're forcing yourself to wake up at 5 and go for a run and you hate running, that's probably, you know, you might be able to muscle your way through that for a little while, but more than likely it's not going to be something you stick with. And also, like, you don't want to be miserable for that portion of your day. So I'm not saying every single moment of every like hard workout, you know, is enjoyable, but if you can at the end of the experience say like, wow, I feel great, I have more energy, and you know, you can find some fun aspects of it, you're a lot more likely to show up and do it. So get creative, use your sense of curiosity and creativity to find that. I know you did an episode on character strengths, and those are some great ones to pull on for this, because you can do Zumba, you can, you know, go with your kids to a park and like come up with play capture the flag. I mean, there's tons of different ways to move that still count as exercise.
Right, exactly. For me too, it's when we did the elimination diet last January, that was hard because my energy was so low. It was hard to really try to motivate myself. And what was kind of like my gateway was doing the Qigong, because I was moving the energy in my body and I was moving my body. So that made me feel like I had more energy to try to do something a little bit more physical. So whatever gets you there.
Whatever gets you there. And I mean, I'm glad you brought up the elimination diet, because there's also different seasons for different things. I mean, if you're going through something like an elimination diet, that's also probably not the best time to like train for your marathon. I mean, there's different seasons. And I think, again, that kind of goes back to the starting small. Like, if your focus is the elimination diet, it doesn't mean you can't incorporate some movement, but maybe it's some lighter movement, like some walking, some qigong, some yoga. You know, there's different times for that. And like when you're pregnant or just, you know, had a baby and you're trying to get back in a movement, again, that's going to look very, very different. So knowing where you are and different things for different seasons of life, for sure. For sure. The other one, which really ties into any goal, is creating SMART goals. So again, back to the starting small, if you can set a goal that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based, you're much more likely to know. Number one, it forces you to think about all of those things. It forces you to sit down, and instead of saying like, I'm going to go, start weightlifting and I'm just going to go do it. Well, what does that mean? Is that twice a week? Is that 4 days a week? So forcing yourself to sit down and think of each one of these things is going to bring awareness to your situation, to think about what can I realistically do and work toward that goal and get some wins for yourself and celebrate each one of those. Every time you reach one of those milestones, celebrating that, that achievement. And I think it's just a more realistic and more likely path to meeting your goal, to do it that way.
Yeah, totally.
So another one that I like to bring up with people is to think about maximizing your NEAT. And if you haven't heard the term NEAT, it's non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and that's a mouthful. But what it means is all the movements that you do throughout your day. So getting up and walking to the kitchen, getting up from your desk and walking to get a cup of coffee, or walking to the mailbox, get up after lunch and take a 10-minute walk around the block, parking your car further away from the grocery store, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Like, I could go on and on. But all of those little movements add up. And, if your goal, again, is weight loss, then that little extra calorie burn, it does make a difference in the equation. But beyond weight loss, just thinking about incorporating movement into our lives. I mean, our modern lives are not what our bodies were designed to do. I mean, our ancestors were hunter-gatherers and farmers, and, they were constantly moving. And even when they were sitting, a lot of times they were sitting in like a more active position, like a squat position, versus being splayed out on the couch. So,
right.
The term "sitting is the new smoking" is right. There's really some validity to it. So, and again, maybe if you're somebody who hasn't, done a whole lot, like maybe your goal is to just focus on that at first. Like maybe you just focus on being able to walk the half mile to the park instead of driving your car. Like that can be a first goal and a first step. So, fitness trackers, if you use one like a Apple Watch or a Fitbit, that can be a great way to start, to try to just like focus on getting your 10,000 steps every day. If you don't want to use one of those, you can get like a smaller pedometer or something like that. Or just set, if you work at a desk all day, like setting an alarm on your phone to, get up every hour and just stretch your legs, walk over to a coworker instead of picking up the phone and calling them. Like those little things really do add up.
Yeah, for sure. And from a massage therapist point of view too, we tell our clients to get up and move for, your joints and your back and your muscles, like stretch, just like bring your shoulders back, just get up.
Absolutely. I'm sure you see it, like the chronically like rounded shoulders, hunched back from hunching over. I work with clients on that too. And in my classes, I mean, we constantly are working on strengthening the back, and in yoga as well. I did a whole yoga class on heart openers because, we're in this rounded state. So absolutely. And I'm sure from the massage standpoint too, like moving the lymph and,
absolutely.
All of that. So
I think of like our society, WALL-E is my favorite Pixar movie. And I always think about that. Like, everyone's so sedentary in their little, whatever they're in, the little hovercraft type things. And they're just like, not healthy, and they're drinking their soda, and they're just zoned out on their electronics. And it's like, wow, that movie was really telling.
Pretty scary, right?
Society. It's really scary.
It is pretty scary. And, with the next generation, with kids, and seeing their desire and preference to be on iPads, and
Yeah.
you know, it's hard. And you know, thinking about that and thinking about, hey, what example are we setting for our kids?
Right.
You know, I think is really,
now,
really important.
One thing that I kind of struggle as a mom, is, you know, we're in a digital age. Kids, you know, they're exposed to iPads and TV, like that's like where we're living. And to take them away from that completely, I don't know if that's such a great thing. So when we're talking about like even getting our kids to do movement and things, and using these things that they love, because they love their iPads, they love their YouTube shows or whatever.
Yep.
And incorporating those two things together may be a great motivator for them, and to get that pattern started young. You were mentioning doing yoga, kid yoga with your children, which sounds like fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you're right. I think we have to recognize the reality of the world that we're in. You know, for better or worse, it is what it is. We're in a digital age. Our kids are going to learn these skills. I mean, mine have to use either an iPad or a computer to do like their math homework. It's all digital. Right. So you're not going to get away from it. I love to there's tons of great videos for kids on YouTube. Yoga is one. And a lot of them incorporate their favorite characters too, like, you know, using whatever TV show they want, and they love it. They think it's fun. And I also use a timer on my phone to do like interval-based workouts, and my kids see me do that. And they've created their own. Like I have one in, you know, they have one in there, and he sees me doing it, and they mimic it, and they think it's fun. And
that's great.
And I think if that is the way you can get your kids to move, is by doing a YouTube video, a follow-on thing. I mean, they're moving. So
yeah, right. And it might help you to move with them, like doing something family related together is
absolutely,
you know, builds the bond, but it also you're all doing something healthy together. So
absolutely. I think it's really important. And I think, you know, that ties into the next one, which is finding your intrinsic motivation. So this is probably one of the biggest ones. Like, what is your why? And if you are, you know, if your why is because your doctor told you that, you know, you should be, and you feel like this guilt, like, well, my doctor said I have to do it, so I have to do it. Yes, if your doctor has given you a prescription for movement, like, then you should listen to your doctor's orders. And we all know there's tons of different health benefits to exercise: bone health, brain health, heart health, tons of exercise benefits. But what does that mean for you? What does that mean in your life? Maybe bone health for you is, I'm going to do weight-bearing exercise because I don't want to get osteoporosis, because I don't want to fall and shatter my hip when I'm in my 70s, and then I'm not able to do things. My family has to take care of me. Like, thinking specifically about it. Back to the mom thing, like a huge thing for me. I want to be, I want to have energy. I want to feel like I can run around with my kids. If they ask me to go play baseball, I want to feel like I can run around and, you know, chase the ball and have the energy to do that. And I want to be a motivator for them. I want them, a good example. I want them to see me and my activity. So maybe you're a little bit older and you're starting to have creaky joints and back pain, and maybe your goal is running around with your grandkids, being able to lift them up into their car seat, not have back pain, and be able to pick all your groceries out of your car. I mean, think about all those little things in your daily life that, you know, what do you want your health to be now and into the future? And, you know, connecting to that bigger reason is one of the biggest motivators to start and stick with a new movement plan, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I know that's something you work on with your clients, for any type of goal.
Any type of goal, for sure. Yeah.
And so, back to goals, taking those SMART goals and really making them smarter goals. So what does that mean? So we talked about the SMART part, and the part was really evaluating and refining. So it's not one goal, I met this and I'm done. They're constantly evolving. You're constantly having to refine, reevaluate, and that might be up or down. Wellness isn't necessarily this linear path. You might, maybe you stuck to your 2 days a week, 20 minutes for 3 weeks, and now you're ready to bump that up a little. Or maybe you were a little too ambitious. You said, I'm going to work out, 4 mornings a week before work, and you're hitting snooze every day. It's not happening. So maybe you have to refine that goal. Maybe you wake up 2 mornings a week and you try to squeeze a walk in on your lunch hour, right? So it's okay to adjust in different directions and constantly kind of coming back to those specific goals and thinking about, where am I now? What can I do? And starting small and building upon it as you go. So that's really important. And probably another super helpful tip is to find some type of accountability partner. If this were just easy to do on your own, you probably already would be doing it.
Yeah.
And accountability comes in many forms. Maybe it's a workout buddy, somebody that you find, someone who you want to go to the park with and do a little boot camp workout, a friend who you can talk to on a walk. Maybe it's a spouse or partner who is also wanting to make a lifestyle change. Or maybe you take it a step further and, from a movement perspective, maybe you find a personal trainer or a specific class that you have to sign up for and put some skin in the game by actually paying for it. Or maybe even beyond that, maybe you actually work with a health coach, somebody who is trained in all of these things we talked about. Yes, maybe they're not specifically trained on the movement piece, but they're trained in lifestyle change. They're going to help you define those SMART goals. They're going to help you draw out that vision of wellness and come back to it. So I think that's what health coaches do. It's a great way to have an accountability partner to help you work through all of these different areas so that it's something achievable, something you can stick with, and something you can continue to build on.
Right, exactly. Those are some awesome tips, Holly. Thank you so much for sharing with us. You are like a wealth of knowledge and so inspiring. I mean,
thank you.
Mom of 2, and then you have 2 stepchildren, and you're working it. You're keeping yourself healthy, and entrepreneur. You're just doing so much, and you're an inspiration to us all.
Oh, well, thank you, Karen. And like I said, I mentioned a lot of my specific motivators. All those kiddos and wanting to be my best version of myself for them. And you mentioned my stepdaughter. She's a teenager, and watching teenage girls in this age of we talked about social media and body image and all of that. Those are things that I struggled with, as a teenager as well. And so, really trying to reframe the conversation into other areas other than just physically how you look, right? Not going to say that. I don't think we can deny the reality that that might be some people's a portion of their motivation, but taking it so much bigger into all those other health benefits of exercise and all the great things that it can bring into your life, I think it's super important. And that's the type of example that I'm trying to set for my kiddos. So
I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks,
so
Karen.
If you want to reach Holly, you offer virtual classes. right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. I offer virtual group fitness classes. I do monthly yoga classes as well. And then I am, I work one-on-one with clients and in some group programs for health coaching. So I'm in the middle of a group health coaching program right now called Eat to Thrive, which is more focused on the functional nutrition side of it. So about halfway through, probably planning to offer that again in the new year. And I am currently taking on one-on-one clients for individual health coaching as well.
Nice. Well, you can read all about it on her website, hollyohlsson.com. And she posts some amazing things on her Instagram. So definitely follow at holly.ohlsson on Instagram. She has awesome reels. It's really entertaining to watch. And you've inspired me to try to do my own, like, it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone to do that.
I try to not take myself too seriously and just try to be, lighthearted and realistic about, where we all are. So thank you for saying that, Karen.
Yeah, she definitely is very relatable. So follow her on Instagram as well. And thank you again. We'll have you back on. I'd love to do a show a little bit more about yoga, because that can be a serious thing for a lot of people. So
that'd be great
in the new year. Yeah.
That would be great.
All right, Holly.
Thanks for having me on, Karen.
Yeah, we will see you next time.
Okay, take care. Bye.
And that wraps up our show for today. I hope you're feeling motivated to get moving. Let us know how you're doing with that. You can comment in the section or send us a direct message. So grateful that Holly could be with us today and share some of that incredible knowledge. Tune in next week. I have a fellow health coach coming on, Dawn Norton, and she specializes in COVID trauma, specifically with people who have lost their sense of taste and smell. And she does this technique called EFT, which is tapping. Some of you may have heard of it. And she has had some amazing results. So I am so excited to bring her on for next week, and she will share a little bit about EFT and the results that she's seen with her clients, which is pretty mind-blowing. So definitely tune in for that next week. That's December 19th at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And Gwen will be back with some healthy tips to help us in this holiday season and the winter season, which is really upon us, although it's been a pretty mild winter here in Rhode Island so far, knock on wood. I wanted to let you know, as a holiday gift to you all, I am offering a free heart math workshop on Tuesday, December 28th. It's a virtual workshop. It's at 7 o'clock and it's live. And I will be going over just a basic overview of what heart math is, heart-brain coherence. And I'll be giving you a quick technique to be able to do in the moment. Heart math techniques are not meditation, so you don't need to be in a quiet space or with your eyes closed or anything like that to do these techniques. You can literally do them in the car or the grocery store, which is primarily where I do my practicing. And it just helps your heart and your brain get into coherence so that you can make wise decisions in the moment. Some people call it flow state. But we'll talk all about it at the workshop. So if you're interested, please check out my website, seechangewell.com, or on Facebook at seechangewell. I'll have all that information if you're interested in learning more, or if you want to sign up for the free workshop. All right. Well, it has been an amazing show. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Of course, if you're already on Facebook, you're already probably here on this page, but if you're on YouTube, you can find us on Facebook at Hello Health Show. And we have our YouTube channel, Hello Health. And we are here every Sunday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So I will see you next week. And until then, I will see you on the flip side. Have a great week, everyone.